students. This is Danny McQuarters at Outreach, and we are here with Professor Bird with our Black Artist Highlights. We're going to get to know a little bit about him, what he does, and the type of artwork and how he impacts his community. So can you tell us about yourself and where you are from?
Well, as my bio always says, when I give it to people, I'm from Saturn, third ring, because it makes more sense than saying born on an army base in Germany. Some people get it. But then when you say, well, lived in Korea and lived in, West Virginia, Connecticut, it gets convoluted. If I get on TV or something, somebody be like, no, he's not. He's from Philly. No, he's from Texas. So I just say Saturn, third ring. But I was born on an army base in Germany. I'm not from there, but it's where I was born. Lived in a lot of spots, a lot of places. I would say probably 10 to 11 different schools before I graduated high school.
So did that kind of like impact the way you saw the world and interacted with people just from, being in so many different spots? And if it did, how did it, shape the way you see other people or, like society as a whole?
I will tell you, when I was younger, it's bothersome because you hear people say things like, I've known this person for this long. I've known this person for that long. This is my friend since third grade. And I don't think I looked at it as a negative. I just always saw the difference. And it sometimes could be like, oh, wish I had that, because you want what you can't have.
Right.
But being older, I've been able to adapt. I would say not even just more like quickly, but more efficiently. Like I can almost blend into certain spots because I'm open. I've lived in a lot of different communities, whether it was suburb, whether it was low income, whether it was a major city, whether it was, a small town vibe. Like I've lived in these places, but not been of these places. Like even now, a lot of people see the things I do, the performances, me on stage, this artist, but then I tell them I live in Mount Pleasant, Michigan. They're like, where's that? You see what I'm saying? So, and it's not like any shade to any communities I've been in. It's just, I don't really see myself where I'm at. I just see what can I do to enhance the places that I'm in. And that's kind of how I take it now. Like anything I've taken from those places I've lived, I just try to use that. So yeah.
Yeah, so that's actually a good point that you try to, wherever you are, you try to, enhance the community. So I want to ask, what exactly type of art do you do, and how do you utilize that within your day-to-day life?
Well, dance is my vehicle. It is the art that I do. It's the art that I use. It is basically my soil. I plant a lot of seeds, a lot of different places, whether it's, younger kids, whether it's networking with other individuals in that community, simply doing things. For example, going to Grand Rapids, and when I'm there, I hardly ever just go and do my thing. I reach out to whoever is also doing something there, or I'm working with downtown Grand Rapids Incorporated, the public museum, things like that. People that also do major things for the community. When I'm in those places, those are the people I normally connect to and vibe with. So dance has allowed me to do that because everybody loves dance. It's a way to visually see music in people, and it's a way to connect with people without saying words. Little kids come up when they see me dancing places and they just start bouncing, and it's like, it's just one of the greatest feelings because you don't have to say anything, and you can have an energy that just draws people in. So even just being a light sometimes, like just simply having a passion that people can see and gravitate to. So that's how I use my day-to-day.
Right. And actually saw you, I think it was last summer, I think you was giving somebody a lesson out on Broadway out here. I was in the Outreach gallery and I was like, oh, I think that's Bird out there dancing, like when they had the streets blocked off or whatever. I do want to ask you, what specifically, like what genre of dance do you do, or like what type do you say you do? I know that the field can be like incredibly diverse with a lot of different areas and, people and movements and genres. So what type of niche do you fit into, if any?
Well, it's funny because you started this off with where am I from, or this, that, and the other. And I used to get a lot of flack for it in what we call, our street dance community, because being a jack of all trades to people that aren't as educated can come off like master something so that you can actually have a solid base. But I can only be who I am. And I'm not from just one city where the style was breaking when I grew up, or it was popping or it was waves and gliding, things like that. I lived in a lot of different communities. And as a kid, you acclimate. So me being older, when I would jump into battles, I would pop, I would break, I would do house dance, I would tut. So I think it also speaks to why I'm able to reach the people I reach, where I can have someone that's classically trained with me and I can have someone as a street dancer with me and they can travel with me and not feel, I mean, you always get the intimidated like vibes and stuff, but they can feel at least a place because it's my true energy. I'm not just one thing. So when you ask me what my like main style is, I do love house dance because the music that house dance, I would say that pushes me to do is very diverse.
Mm-hmm.
But I do teach foundations in breaking, popping, house dance, tutting, and I do each one of these styles with the same high level because that's my background, living in a lot of different places and absorbing a lot of different foundations. I didn't see one thing and then jump to that, gravitate that, get good at that. I moved and had to be good at it because I was a new kid. And
Right.
when I grew up, you are the coolest thing or you're nothing in that school. That's just how it is. Being the kid, it's like, oh, the new kid. You lose a race, oh, he's slow, he's terrible. You win a race, oh, he's so fast. So it just was my experience. So I was saying with dance, it was like, okay, that's what you guys are doing. Okay, cool. Then that's what we're doing. And then it just kind of went on and on and on. And that's what I've kept. So I teach it all and I don't just do it. I give foundation so people can go their own way. So I actually don't have one thing.
Right, yeah.
I give everything from a base spectrum, but I am strong and solid at a few different styles.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think as artists, people kind of develop, you know, your own style, wherever they may be, a combination of all those things. You had mentioned that you teach, and I noticed that you're in a dance studio right now. What type of, do you teach all of these different genres that you perform in also? Or is it more of the, you know, do you like classically train people? What are your dance classes like? Which types of dance classes do you teach?
Well, hip hop is my course. That's the designator. Teach a hip hop course. Most people come in and I know their expectancy sometimes is I'm going to learn some cool moves. I'm going to, one person thought it was a lyricism class. That was like the best thing ever because they're hoping that they could 5, 6, 7, 8, who you appreciate.
Right.
Busy, you know? And I didn't, like that wasn't a negative to me. That was like, this is awesome because at least they're coming in with a perspective that's open as it could be anything because hip hop is a culture. I'm not able to teach zero dance if they don't at least have some sort of perspective of a culture. If I go somewhere and say I want to learn martial arts, the first thing we're gonna do is not teach you how to kick. We're gonna work on your breathing. We're gonna work on your strength, your body, your control, and then I might show you a strike. Well, it's the same with hip hop. We're gonna talk about the music. We're gonna talk about the culture. We're gonna talk about the people, the energy, the vibe, the conversations we have. Because when you dance, that's what comes out. It's the energy you have, but you have to have something to give first. So when people are like, wow, I didn't know it was like this much talking, that's because you just don't know enough. So when I watch you move, you're standing still and you're like, I don't know what to do because you don't know enough. So once you can process some information, then we can talk about the movement as you grow yourself. Otherwise, you just are going to continue to do what you think you should be doing opposed to what you know based on the information that's been given. So that's how I teach my courses, at least when it comes to CMU. When I work with kids, you know, it's the heart of hip hop, which is self and freedom and fun. And then there's techniques and styles that I can give you, but you first have to know how you like to move and have fun. Otherwise, you'll end up being a clone. And hip hop is about that freedom. So from the younger to the old, it's still given in an informational way, but at the college level, it is very much, this is what we do, this is the culture. These are some of the dance styles in hip hop. Then they understand what street dance means. Because in street dance, you have popping, blocking, house, tutting, voguing, these things that are not hip hop that people think are just because that's the umbrella term. So, you know, we talk about those different terms of what hip hop is, the styles in hip hop, the elements of hip hop. And then we talk about how in hip hop, there's a dance that also belongs in the street dance community. So that's basically the structure of my classes, is to give information, give foundational movement, some history from those movements, and then we explore.
Right. So yeah, I think that's super cool that you kind of like instill that level of appreciation and knowledge of history
There it
Yeah,
is.
like
Syllabus,
appreciate.
the first word, man. I don't care how cool profile pictures you get. It's the appreciation. To watch a Step Up movie and see those guys on the ground and be like, oh, they're just doing that stuff. Okay, well, I remember in class when I had to hold my hands and my body up for 10 seconds, I was shaking. So now you have a better appreciation of that movement. And then while you see all this graffiti and while you see people talking with their hands, it's you have a knowledge that allows you to apply that. Yes.
Right. Yep. And it kind of like allows people to just you know, like understand like how, you know, just like you were saying, like you might not know what to do if you don't know, you know, all of the fundamentals and all the history behind
or know yourself.
Right. Yeah. Seriously. And I did want to, so speaking of knowing yourself, I wanted to ask you what got you into dance? Like what was the first, if you remember, what was the first thing that inspired you to think like, all right, this is a part of me. This is gonna, you know, what I'm sticking to. If it was, or did you ever have that like moment, or was it like a series of moments over your life?
Probably had three strong ones. My mom, first of all, because she would do little like waves and be like, you don't know nothing about this here, that. And then she would dance with me. And then I would be like, she'd send me videos of her overseas. And I would send her videos of me and be like, Mom, look, I'm killing it. Then I just started searching. I was 6. And you know, in DC, there was this little event, whatever, I did that. And then moving, you don't make a lot of friends dancing. Singing is just, that's not how you make friends. Sports. So I got really good at basketball, played college ball. It's, you know, played in a couple of summer pro leagues. That's what I did, basketball. I jumped on it. But then, you know, it wasn't really working out for me. And I went over to, I lived in Philadelphia for about a year and a half. And the guy in Philadelphia Center, he told me, you have to make a choice, because sometimes you're like, this is for me, but you can also just get really good at things, you know, the longer you do them. And he flat told me that, and it never left me. I'm like, nah, man, I can do it all. I'm still playing pickleball. I got 2 years eligibility if I really want to, man. I can't, you know, just being young, ignorant. And he said, you have to make a choice. And he was right. And it went back to dance because that was something that I love to do, that my mother shared with me. And now that's what I'm able to do. I mean, yeah, I taught some or coached some camps and did some things like that, but it's nothing like dance. Like being able to help 6-year-olds, 7-year-olds, 25-year-olds, to give something to people when they come see you. I would probably say, man, like there's just no greater feeling. And it started probably when I was like probably 4 or 5 years old. Just my mom just danced with me and sharing just the fun vibe. And I've kept that. And that's what I do still today, is just try to share that fun vibe.
Right.
But yeah, man, that's crazy. Just think about that, because I always hear him in my head. You have to make a choice. And he was right, because I could not fully give the way I wanted to give to people until I made that choice. Because then I'm ego, I'm self. I'm like, but what if? Well, what if I could? All these people are looking to me, and I'm, like I just said before a little bit ago, knowing yourself. Myself is, yeah, I could do that. I could do this. I could do that. But what can I give to people? I have to have, you know, a full tank, and I'm constantly running down if I'm trying to jump in all these other different things. So
yeah, and I think it's because art, whether it be, you know, dance, music, visual arts, it kind of like helps you form an identity within yourself. And but to get to that, as you know, it's a lot of work that comes with that, you know, like, you know, the practice, the, you know, everything, like and I'm not a dancer, but I play a couple of instruments, not just, it's just, you know how people are like, oh, people think you just like do that for the first time when you perform, you know, and it takes all that work. But what would you say is the hardest part about that process? Like either getting up routine together or choreography, you know, if you had to choreograph something, what is the hardest part about that? Or is it any hard parts about it? Do you just enjoy the whole thing, or is it a part that you wish, you know, wasn't as difficult?
the process is the hard part is the lack of information for a culture that is literally the most influential in the world right now.
Right.
There's so much misinformation. I mean, I look at my young kids and they love the snap whack. Oh my gosh, it's everywhere. All the stuff they do, urban, slang, vernacular, and then there's the TikTok now. 90% of the videos and songs and things are attitude, urban, or hip hop music. And there's these vibes that people want to feel, but there's no information on where it comes from. Or if it is, it's not tantalizing enough. It's like, it's boring. It's, oh, that's back in the days. It's not back in the day. It's just accurate info that you haven't had access to.
Right.
You know, travel to these competitions, these kids got the hair done, they got the outfits, and they call them costumes. If you couldn't go to the mall in your outfit, that's not what you wore. Like, you would go and kill it in the mall or on stage, and you walk and go to a party, or you go to a movie, whatever. You wear your outfit. And of course, there's, you know, grand things, or a Christmas party, then of course you wore a costume. But the energy there, man, is the lack of information is the hard part, because when I get to people, there's an expectancy there that they're going to do something fun. A lot of times it's not fun for them because it's not what they thought. Opposed to coming into it like, wow, I'm gonna have to freestyle, but I'm scared to freestyle. But you love hip hop. How do you love hip hop when the foundation is freestyle?
Literally, yes.
That's not your fault, because you were never told that. Like, you were never given opportunities to grow yourself, but you've been dancing for 10 years. So imagine I walk into a class, or I walk into a space, and there's these people that are like, oh, I love hip hop. I'm gonna do hip hop. And the first thing I say is, well, I got to see who you are. So I'm putting some music on. Let me see. All of a sudden the faces change, and they're more afraid to do the actual thing than to do the thing that came way later, which is the choreography, the, you know, the copycat, the mirror, the here, let me show you 5, 6, 7, 8. That came way later. People did routines in the living room. You do it in the garage. You in the basement, you step here, and I'm gonna step there, and then we could go like this. There was no mirror and somebody for you to copy day in and day out from the moment you were 8 years old till you were 16 or 18. So, you know, it's that lack of information, because the ones that are open and haven't had, you know, that kind of exposure to where someone has just basically showed them the movement and they did it, performed it. The people that are more open are a little bit more receptive, because they don't know what they don't know. But then the ones that have been given all this stuff, they're the ones that are so excited to have this new experience, just to find out, oh man, I gotta be myself. Well, yeah, you know, so that's the challenge, or I would say that's the hard part. It's the lack of information. And when you come in, you're just like, oh, some of these people's worlds. I mean, there's one girl, she just bawled. She's like, I feel like I'm nothing now. I've danced this since I was 6, and I love hip hop, and I never did like that. That's hurtful for me. You know what I'm saying?
Because it's their idea of hip hop, not.
And it's the identity, what you just said. You're doing these things, it helps you build an identity. They built an identity on what they felt and believed was that, simply because of this person's choice or their lack of information that they then passed down. So now you're telling this girl is 17 years old, and you're like smashing her mirror of identity, just because you asked her to freestyle. Like, yeah, we don't do that. And you're like, oh, okay. You know, so I would say that's probably my biggest challenge, and has been my biggest challenge with dance, is the lack of information, because hip hop is so grand. It is so out there, but when it was created, it was never meant to be like trademarked. Like, this is this because there was a lack of foresight. Hindsight, man, somebody could have really been on this, and not even to capitalize off it, just so that we could get the right information to people that have the money to and resources to really put it out there. Because we just basically showed people, and they say, oh, that looks cool. Well, I'll put this in my studio and I'll do this. And there was no sort of structure, no infrastructure. So now we have all these stories, and this person teaching, that person teaching, this person teaching. I tell my kids all the time, I can't teach Mr. Bird flamingo class and charge people. They're like, what the heck is this? That's not ballet. Yeah, it is. Just have fun. Make sure you leap and just look pretty. They're not going for that. You know, so that's the challenge, lack of information.
And that's why I appreciate that you kind of instill that sense of foundation and appreciation for people, just so, because I mean, you know, it might hurt their identity now, but long term, it might help strengthen their identity. I just have a couple of more questions, like speaking of that whole thing, or just like in general, like if somebody is kind of hesitant in getting to dance, and like say if they like the idea of dancing, but they just are, you know, nervous about getting in, do you have any advice for them, or anybody, like any new people who are joining the art form? Do you have any advice for them, or anything you would tell them in preparation for that?
I know when I ask people the number one way that you become a better dancer, most people always get the question wrong, because it's always better moves, take more classes, learn from the best. All of those things are irrelevant if you don't know self. more music, because that's what we do, express. So if all you listen to is the same music, your expression is going to be the same. If you have the same conversations with people and you don't maybe read more or just watch the news, not even to develop an opinion, to just hear, to have a perspective, to then be like, oh, I didn't know that was going on, then go read about it. All of those things help your dance because it gives you a voice. So when you have more to give, you're going to express more, you're going to feel more comfortable. So anybody that's looking to get into dance or art, do things you like, not just the dance. Do more things that you like speak up more, listen to more music and get vibes from different songs, different eras, from the 20s, ragtime bands to solid gold oldies. Those are short tunes come on, those melodies, how your body moves to it, how you feel when you move to it, and then on to the next and the next, era for music. Like you dance.
So I know you said you teach a few classes around here. Are they community classes where anybody can sign up for them?
Mount Pleasant School of Dance is where I teach, and anybody can go to I think it's mpschoolofdance.com and sign up for classes right there. They have adult classes and other things too. But kids all the way up to adults, they have classes. And then I'm reachable. I have my POA fam, Pursuit of Awesomeness. If you feel that you are somebody that really, really wants that next level from a professional dancer that does professional dance events and travels all over the country, if that's what you think you want to do, then obviously just reach out to me either on Bird Clarkson Facebook, Instagram, Pursuit of Awesomeness. That's AHH Someness. And then of course the CMU, any college student that wants to take classes, just look up hip hop under our DAN designator.
Nice. All right. Is there anybody else you would like, or anything else you would like to tell the folks watching today, as far as, your craft or why they should get in it, or, the way you teach? Anything to wrap this up?
If I did anything for anybody and either I inspired you or I, gave you interest, first I would say, think about the things that you like to do. You're like, no, but I know I love dance. Cool. But what else do you think you like to do along with that? Just so that you're bringing more to that energy when you do decide, okay, I think I want to draw. That don't mean you can't dance.
Right.
Draw some dances, draw some thoughts in your head when you're listening to music. And then what that's going to do is help allow that creativity to flow when you go and express yourself. So if I inspired anybody, my favorite movie is The Matrix. Anybody come to me, I unplug them and I ask them questions. And then we learn it's not about dissing the Matrix or hating the Matrix. It's about just understanding it. You got to unplug from it so that you won't just end up being stuck inside of it, not knowing all of the other things you can explore. But we need these different matrices, like these systems. We need them so that we can see how things operate. We need structure in our lives. We need growth. Growth doesn't come without chaos, but the only way we can actually level up is to take that chaos and put some structure to it so that we can then have something to give back. We cannot just be wild out here. But that wild, that fire, that's what causes things to grow. And then once they grow, then we put a little structure behind it and we see how it grew. And then we add new energy. That new energy is that chaos. So that chaos is us. It's you walking in and being like, today I want to just work outside. Today I want to go to the mall and talk to people. Why? Because I want to do that. Just that energy, that new, fresh energy, not being afraid of that. That's what I mean by doing things you like to do. Because what you like to do might spark somebody else, might inspire somebody else. Just like what I like to do, which is dance, may have just inspired you.
Yeah, well, I think we can definitely inspire some people today to get into it. Go check out Professor Bird, Mount Pleasant School of Dance, CMU, Pursue Awesomeness with 2 H's or 3?
Pursuit of Awesomeness, AHHWESOMENESS.
Yes, spell it right. All right, well, thank you so much. And I hope you have a great day.
Thank you.